Go ahead and mute, and then I will go ahead and do a little introduction. So, well, welcome Janet, and welcome everybody. Thank you for coming to this demonstration today for Santa Clara Valley Watercolor Society. Janet has been a working professional artist for over 35 years and has achieved signature status in the American Watercolor Society, the Florida Watercolor Society, South Carolina Watercolor Society, and others. She has garnered many awards over the years for her sensitive paintings of people which are spontaneous, direct, and expressive. Janet shares easily with others her passion and joy for the fluid and unexpected nature of watercolor. Her workshops and demonstrations featuring impressions of people and also flowers are very popular across the United States, Canada, and in Europe. As well as her busy schedule of teaching, demonstrating, and serving as juror, she has contributed to several publications, including the book, The 1 Hour Watercolorist, and has had 4 instructional and inspiring DVDs produced by Artist Palette Productions: Expressive Watercolor Florals, Expressive Watercolor Portraits, Watercolor Rhythms and Figures, and Expressing the Bouquet in Watercolor. Janet has also has been featured in watercolor painting videos on YouTube, as well as a delightful new interview on YouTube. You can find her work at www.watercolorsbyrogers.com, and you may also join one of her online classes, like with Santa Clara Valley Watercolor Society, and workshops. And with that, I will have Janet take it away.
Okay, thank you, Vicki, and Susan and Debbie for all your work. And I'm anxious to meet everybody to you know, for the workshop in, let's see, March 22nd, 23rd, and 24th, I believe, right? And that is a full day each day, and a lot of fun. So I'm looking forward to seeing everybody there. Today, I would like to, I'm going to be covering in the workshop flowers, people, painting the head and figure, and trying to break it up into those 3 days. The head requires a little extra time, so I thought I would start out with that. I can always come back to it. You'll notice in this on the screen that it's a little angled. That's because I paint at a little angle. If I hold it up flat, you can see it flat. But if I put it down like this, it's going to be angled. It's not really as angled as it looks. Usually I paint, let's see if I can get that. Usually I paint with that much of an angle, and this is maybe like that. So it's a little bit tighter. And I talk a lot while I'm painting, so to try to explain things to you, but if you have any questions, please don't hesitate. If you want to just unmute yourself or whatever you all prefer to, if you want to do the chat or you want to just unmute yourself, feel free to do that, because I like questions. It tells me where your head is. Okay, now I will explain a little bit before we start. I'll just show you these. We're working with limited palettes, semi-limited. Okay, we've got Aurolin Yellow, Permanent Rose, and Cobalt Blue, and Quin Gold, Alizarin Crimson, and Ultramarine Blue. That's the second triad, is a little darker paints. And these are, this Aurolin, Permanent Rose, and Cobalt Blue will make all those secondary colors. The second triad makes all these secondary colors. So it's really painting with very few colors. I used to feel bad that everybody had to go out and buy a lot of paints. Having said that, there are a few others, my favorites, that you will see me using. One is Janet's Violet Rose, which is very nice. Let me show you. This is my color. Oh, sorry. I picked up the wrong color. I try to separate them in the palettes so they don't migrate with each other. Somehow that got, oh, you know what it is? It's my brush. My brush is dirty. I wash these brushes too. Okay. Here's the color, the pure color. You can see it. See, that's a pink. And it's very nice. So I use that in the flesh tone a lot. And the values you can pull out and get a lighter value. So that's that pink. The other,
Janet, who makes the Janet's Violet Rose?
American Journey.
Okay, thank you.
Now, if you can't get American Journey paints, you could use, there's another color by Sennelier that this was based on. It was called Cobalt Violet Light Hue. But it's by Sennelier, but it's a little bit duller, just a little bit. So, but that's okay. You can use that. There's another color that's close to it. This is Holbein's color. It's called, well, it used to be Rose Violet. Now it's Quin Magenta. But that's a little more intense. So I really like it just a little bit softer. And then this is, these are colors other, we'll ignore that one. Just so you know where I'm going, I'm trying to show you some of these palettes over here. And then that's called Sky Blue. Now, if you have Cerulean Blue, it's kind of a necessary color. So instead of Cerulean Blue, I'm using Sky Blue, or this is called Cerulean Blue Hue, formerly Arctic Ice. Let me go into that. Okay, so just to let you know the other colors that I use. And then I've got, this is called June Bug. So these two are actually the same color mix by American Journey. So, but if you have Cerulean Blue itself, you can use that. The only reason I moved away from that was because Cerulean Blue itself is a little gummy and granular. So I didn't really want that in the flesh tones. And so that's why I moved away from the real one. But this is June Bug. Now, this is a little bit darker. So that would probably go into something dark, obviously. But you can see how light these are, and I use them a lot in dropping in with flowers or flesh tones. But not so much this one unless I'm painting a darker skin. Then I might use that, but always transparents. Usually everything I have are transparents. I'm starting to use Prussian Blue. Now, I haven't used that in the past because I've been using the Ultramarine Blue, which is this one. So the reason I'm showing you these blues over here is just so you know what I'm using. I don't know whether you can see that difference. There's a big difference in there. So I just wanted to let you know about those blues. They're kind of I've gone to recently using some of those other ones. Okay. Now you'll see how I start changing color, and maybe I could show you that real quick. I think I better, because otherwise you won't know what's happening. So to get a flesh tone, I might take that off. I'm going to show you just a little bit about the flesh tone. I don't know what happened there.
Janet, can you just verify what the second triad was?
Second triad.
You had the first one was Aurelian, Cobalt, and Permanent Rose.
Oh, yeah. I'm sorry. Aurelian by Winsor Newton. Sorry, let me. zoom out. Okay. Aurelian by Winsor Newton. Permanent Rose, I use American Journey. Cobalt Blue, I use American Journey. I love their Cobalt Blue. For some reason, it is the perfect Cobalt Blue. And now that's the first triad. Is that what you asked?
Yes.
Okay, and the second one again, Quinacridine Gold, Winsor Newton. I like Winsor Newton. And Permanent Alizarin Crimson, I like Holbein. And Ultramarine Blue, American Journey, I like that one. So they're the main colors. And Janet's Violet Rose, which is American Journey. And all the blues are American Journey that I use.
Okay, thank you.
And then I just wanted to go over that. And then, oh, I did want to show you a swatch. Okay. Let me zoom in a little. Well, no, you need to see the palettes. So I can't get in too deep. You can see how many palettes I use because I like to mix them first and then apply them onto the paper. So I'll get an orange. So in other words, it's the yellow and the permanent rose here. And these are all, okay, it's Aurelian Yellow, permanent rose, make it orange. And then in the light triad, up here it's the green, the Aurelian Yellow, Cobalt Blue, and then this is Cobalt Blue and permanent rose. So there's only 3 colors I use here. If you just ignore all this, that's just all the first triad. You can move out a little bit. Okay. Hopefully you see that. I usually have myself a mess, which is happening already. I've got paint all over the place. Okay. Let me make a little swatch. It'll get me relaxed a little bit. I mixed together the yellow and a little bit of the permanent rose. And I'm just touching the paper. And by the way, I use the opposite side of Winsor Newton watercolor paper. I mean, Arches, 140 cold press bright white. I use the opposite side of the watermark. So that's pretty important. Now, I'm going to take a little bit of Janet's Violet Rose and I'm going to just float that on there. And that's my process. So let me zoom in a little bit so you can see what's happening to it. You see it's running down and it's changing. I love watching. To me, that is so important. I like to watch it move. It gets me excited. And I can drop in a little bit of cobalt, or this is the Arctic or sky blue. Now, if that's, sometimes I'll skim off a little bit. Maybe I'll go to the cobalt. That's too bright to change. So I'm going to try a little bit of the permanent rose, or maybe I'll go up to the violet. I should control the water on there, but floating that in. Suppose you have that, then I'll adjust it again. If I want, I'll float in a little bit of the other. So what's happening, if I'll get a little closer, is all those colors are mixing together. So it's moving from the orange to the cooler one. Now it's not a perfect swatch, but you get the idea. That's how I make all the paintings. So that just gives you a little bit of it. Oh, by the way, too, I lift edges. Everybody wants to know how I do that. Paper towel, drying the brush, and then lifting the edges. Okay. And then I let that dry and you'll see, but that's, I wanted you to know that before I start painting, so you'll understand what's going on. Okay. Oh, before I start too, I thought I would, well, maybe I'll do a break. No, I should show you now, I guess. These are some of my paintings that move out. So you get to know what kind of work it is. And this is a floral piece with some roses and hydrangeas. And this was a portrait. This is a child portrait. That's a little bit farther away, but you can kind of see the flesh tones in there. And then the little bit of second washes, but the first wash is pretty critical. So that's most of the painting. These are some flowers that we will paint in the workshop. It's kind of painting without drawing, just to loosen up with the leaves and all that. So that's fun. These were just some weeds, some daisies, and iris. So it's kind of a fun thing that we'll do in the workshop. Oh, this is some orchids that I started to paint, but didn't have time to finish. Kind of unfinished, but I kind of like the unfinished look. And this is a figure, just a quick figure that we'll do in the workshop too. Some figure work. And they're very quick, 10-minute things. So you'll be able to do it. All right. Exercises, just exercises. I don't want to be, as an artist, I really enjoy not having to make a masterpiece. I enjoy painting, and I don't really want to paint. I want to enjoy the process. So that's what I want to give to you. And I'm going to take out my picture of me.
Janet, someone's asking why you use the opposite side of the paper.
Because it's a good question. It's the opposite side of 140-pound Arches cold press paper is a little rougher, and it takes the watercolor a little differently. It's not the same as where the watermark is. Through the years, it used to be different, but through the years they've changed the paper, and that it's very smooth now. It's just too smooth for me. I like to have a little grip to it. I like the paper to kind of sink in a little bit, so it doesn't lift off. So when I change the color, I want the paper to hold the first part and then to hold some of it. Okay, I don't want it to lift everything. But it's, so if I want to put color down, so I put a color down, and like that, I just showed you that swatch. I want the paper to hold that first application. And when it's still wet, I float another color in. I literally float the color in. I don't paint it in. So I'm floating color in so that it mixes together with the undercolor. I could do it, 5 times. As long as it's wet, you can do that. Okay, so I think that helps.
Great, thank you.
Okay, and were there any other questions before I start? I mean, not that you don't have to. Let's see, there's a chat. I don't know if that matters. Susan, you take care of that, right? The chat. Oh, good, because I won't read it.
Yeah, we're answering the questions or relaying them to you. Thank you.
Okay, thank you. Thanks. That's great. That's really great. I appreciate it. Okay. So, and then over here, let me zoom out a little bit. With the other darker triad that I showed you, it's quinacridine gold, permanent alizarin crimson, dark orange. That's the two mixed together. And I have Janet's Violet Rose over there. I should push that out of the way. I don't want to confuse anybody. This is my mixing area in here. This is the loading zone, I call it. And then this is, these are blobs of paint. I don't know what to call them. Painting source. It's a source. And this is, you know, I have the light value here, but this is the dark triad. 3 colors, permanent rose and I'm not permanent rose, alizarin crimson and quinacridine gold. Over in this area that is off camera a little bit is the ultramarine by itself. So those 3 colors will make these other secondary colors, which is orange, dark green, and the dark purple. So that's what we're looking at. I'm going to get off the camera because, let's see, I'm going to switch. So while I'm doing this, it may look funny. Okay, now we're right into the painting area. Now I did draw up a picture of this gal, and I can't remember what her name is. This is a model I had in Sarasota, Florida, years and years ago. But I liked her, the look of her and the attitude, and I did a drawing. So what I do is I freehand a drawing just to get the feeling of what I want. And I don't know if it looks exactly like her. It doesn't have to look, I was a portrait painter for, 30 some years. So I'm kind of over it. I'd like teaching better. I don't want to worry whether it looks like her. If you want, you can trace it. Trace a picture, a photograph of a person. And I actually used to do a lot of portraits from life, which I definitely prefer. But having to work from photos, sometimes I've had to, I notice as an artist that I have more fun making a character out of it. So I do this drawing, I did this freehand drawing, and I could put it up to a window or a light box and then put the 140-pound paper on top of it and just trace what I wanted. Does that make sense? And just trace a little line. You don't have to trace all the other part. So when you come to the workshop, I will send some 1 or 2 of my drawings or whatever and photographs to match so that you'll have something to do. You can use your own photos of somebody you want, or you can use mine. Either way, whatever works best for you. All right, so here's my water bucket over here. And let's see, what kind of brush do I want? Oh, before I do that, sorry, I think I'm going to take I'm just going to take my kneaded eraser and lift some of that graphite, which is so strong. I'm just pressing down to lift some of it so it doesn't get all over the place. And one of the things the experience I want is, I don't mind it too much in the hair because that's going to be dark, but I don't want a lot of graphite in the flesh tone. So the other thing I do is pay attention to where the light source is coming from, and it'll be coming from here. So often I put a little light here, and then usually the top of the nose, I'm very aware that this shape, or there's a shape there, and there might be a little light. I don't think I better put that in because it'll look like a zit. Better let that out. Okay, maybe a little highlight in the eye right there. Never in the pupil itself. This eye is going to be pretty important. That highlight is not in the picture, but I'm going to put it in. So I'll just do that. Let's see. I'll lift that. Okay, I guess we're ready to start. I want that forehead to feel like it's going back. And if you can't see something or you want me to zoom in or out, let me know, girls. Okay. Okay, so what I want to do first is hit the flesh tone all the way down. Lift a little bit here.
Janet, someone's asking why the highlight isn't ever in the pupil.
It looks a little funny because if it's in the middle of a pupil, it will be a white, the whitest white surrounded by the darkest dark. So that means you can't move. It'll say stop, you can't move anywhere else. And it looks strange. Now, a lot of times you'll get photographs from people flash, and that flash hits right in the middle of that pupil. So it's a problem. You have to be aware of it. But that's one reason. There's a light up here, and I don't like where it is. So I'm going to change it right up in there. I want the feeling like her forehead's going back, and it's sculptural. It's three-dimensional. So I know there's going to be a highlight on that bottom lip. I think it's just too perfect. Where it is, I don't like it. So I'm going to change it. Put a little mark there, and I'll remember. And then the rest, I kind of know the face. There's a little bit of this philtrum right here, and then the mouth is going to come in front. So they're the important parts that I don't want to. Some people put Misket or something, but I don't like to use it because it looks like it. If I lose the highlight, I have a magic pencil here. I stole it from my husband, the Caran d'Ache aquarelle pencil, and that will leave a highlight and we'll snap it back. But let's hope we don't lose it. Okay, so I'm going to start with the yellow. Oops. I have to slow down. Sometimes I go too fast and I get too nervous. So I'll have to slow down a little bit. Take a little of that. Now I'm going to pull out a little bit of Janet's Violet Rose because I know I'm going to need that. I probably will not, for the flesh tones, I won't use the darks, but I might have to go to the violets or something. So I'm going to pull out a little bit of that just in case. I've got the blues over here and the greens, you never know. I always like to be prepared. I was a Girl Scout when I was younger, and they always had that. I think that was part of their motto. I'm not sure. Be prepared. Okay, that's the green, the lavender. Maybe I'll put a little blue lavender there. And over in this section, we have Cobalt Blue. I can control the value in there, and I control a lot of stuff that gets into the painting in these palettes. So that's why I wanted to show you that first. And as I'm doing this, I'm going to, I don't want to lose, I might have to lose the blues to get closer. Okay. All right, I'm loading with this orange, but I'm going to adjust it. If it gets in her hair, I don't really care because I'll go through that later. Okay, so we'll go to here. That might be a good stopping place. And then I'm just taking the moisture off of the brush. I don't want that to be a big hole there. So I'm kind of smushing it a little bit. And I'm going to float in Janet's Violet Rose. Okay, there was a little bit of a, I'm just smushing that around a little bit. I'll have a little light taking the moisture off. I know there's different ways to get that moisture off. Some people just flick it. Okay. That's not bad. Just take a little bit of the, ooh, that's too much. Got a little excited. How about if I put, oh, lavender over there. Yeah, let's do that. Put that in the hair. Okay, maybe a little bit of this. And I apologize. It just, sometimes I pick up the wrong thing, but who knows? Like, I know I used to be upset because I didn't really know what I wanted before I painted. But somebody told me one time, Jan, that's your style. And that's how you find it. So that's something I had to come to terms with. Put a little bit of the blue over here, mix it with the green. I want to find something. I want to get excited as I'm doing this. So that's why I'm with my attitude.
Janet, it's Susan. Some people call that just intuitive painting. So you have a really, right?
It's definitely intuitive. It's could be frustrating, but what I like to do is give you the tools so that you can find these things yourself and enjoy that process.
Janet, someone's asking what size brush you're using.
Oh, okay. This is a 14 King Art Original Gold round. It's a round brush.
Thank you.
Okay, and you know, the other thing is I don't always know what I'm going to do or my brush, because as I get older, my brush might go a little quirky. That's okay. You know, it's all about getting out of trouble, getting into trouble. Well, getting into trouble is easy. Let me lift that edge. I wanted a light edge on that nose, but I want to go around, just break it a little bit. I'm trying to think of who said, oh, I'm thinking that it was Robert Henri said watercolor is just damage control after the first stroke. So I'm thinking he said that.
That sounds about right. So yeah.
Put a little bit more of the orange in there. So it's really a wash. Now, if you look, I think I'm going to go in a little tighter so you can see how many colors are going in there. That might be too much, but we'll just go ahead with it. Now I'm going to have hair over there, so it's going to cover most of that. And in this case, it might be fine. I think I'll leave it alone. One thing that you may have trouble with, you may want things perfect. And I think there's a disease like that most artists have, perfectionists. Going over here, let's just float. Oh, that was a little too dark, a little too dark there. And I think I'll put a little bit more of that violet rose in there. And I'm going a little bit side. What I'd like to do is feel her, the structure. I think I want it a little more orange. Just float that in there. And I don't want to go back up here because I think that's done. I don't want to change it just for the sake of changing it. Okay. Now you could wet ahead a little bit, and I think that's what I'm going to do down here, because in California might be drier. So if you're in an area where it's very dry, you may have to wet ahead of time. Oh, I don't know why I did that, but we'll find out. A little lavender, maybe. Yeah, I like the lavender. Because she has some lavender in her top, so maybe I could get more of that. No, I just saw that. So, oh, let's pull that ear over there. There's an ear popping in there with color. Let's move that. Okay. Maybe a little purple. I shouldn't go in there. Should stay out of there, but I'll go ahead. Okay. So I left this side white. Pull in there a little bit. And the reason I like to do that, because now in this case, she doesn't have much light on there, but it pops those whites. I think I better lift. Let me see if I can lift back in there. Now I'm going in there, but that paint is drying, so I don't want to disturb it too much, but I did want to lift a little bit. I lost the light on her cheek. That's okay. I'm not going to worry about that. I better finish her underneath her mouth. Okay, the chin is soft, so I want that more rounded. Let me go into the mouth. I want to connect as much as I can. I'll go back in there. Now this, I don't want that to dry, so I'm going to go down. Too wet, I can see. Maybe I'll throw a little, I don't want to do that. Green in there. I don't think I want to do that. Let's put a little pink on there. No, maybe I'll do orange. Every time I change the color, it changes the color in the painting, but that's okay. That's how I find it. Okay. Probably need a bigger brush. I'll use this one. I'm really not sure what to do until I see it. I'm putting a little bit more orange in there. Maybe we'll put a little violet. You have to be careful with the purples, because if it's too purple, it'll look dirty. I mean, it'll look gray. Maybe I'll put that blue in there. Okay, and then I'm gonna lift it. Oops. Pull that down. I want it to be interesting, but it just looks too gaudy, so I'm going to put more orange over it. Maybe a little more of the pink. Don't really have to do a lot in there. I just want to get happy before I leave it. And then instead of having a little shirt in there, I'm going to just do a little shadow, which will make the flesh tone. I want to pull that edge. No, I'm copying from the photo too much, so I want to stay away from that. I don't want to copy from the photo because it doesn't look right. I want to find my own shapes there. Okay. A little here. Maybe a little lavender in that. In the shirt, or the shawl rather. Okay, see what that is. I don't know why I want a green in there. Maybe I'll put some blue. There's a little, it's where it meets this other part. So I don't like that. Make it a little, I'm putting a little green in just to see what that does. I can always change it. I can always overwhelm it. Now, oh, I just noticed I've got to run back here in the face. So I want to, and I wasn't watching, but I'm going to try to buff that out. I'm not sure it'll come, but I'm very gently scrubbing it. And then I'm just going to hope that nobody notices. It's okay. It's all okay.
Janet, that's always my philosophy too. Hope nobody notices.
Oh, Susan, is that what you said?
Yes, exactly.
Perfect. Because the more we focus on it, the worse it's going to get. I'm going to let that dry at this point. And on the other side of the face, I'll put a little bit of flesh tone over here. And then when I want to knock that side down a little bit. Okay. Maybe a lighter flesh tone. I don't know. Okay. Now, what I'd like to do is drop in a little bit of the eye color. What's it? I think I'll have her have kind of greeny eyes. Now, one thing I want to do is when I have to leave an area, I'll try to soften an edge so that I can get back in there and it'll look natural. Let's try a little Quin gold and the green, just a little bit around there. Oops, let me go in real tight. Oops. Move it down a little bit. Pull that around and then just, it'll be kind of a little bit gold. Maybe I'll put a little green in there. Oop. Anyway, you want it transparent. If you ever get in trouble, I use like that Arctic ice. Oh, that looks good. And I drop that in, and that really just kind of brings the transparency back. Okay, I want a dark up in the eye. Let's try to do that without getting in trouble. And this is dark purple and the dark green. I'll zoom out a little bit to show you. See the dark green here? It's quinacridine gold and the And then I'm taking the dark purple. So this dark purple, dark green, make a tertiary color. And I might push it more towards the ultramarine blue. I'm going to try to find a piece of paper to show you what color it is. Okay. There it is. That's the color. So that it's, I've gotten in the habit of calling it a roux because it's a mixture. I'm just going to go ahead and put a little dot in there for, let me go back into the detail, into the eye. I like to put the pupil in while it's wet because I want it to not to look like it's painted in. I'm just putting a little bit in there.
Janet, someone's asking, how does the Arctic ice restore transparency?
I know it's an enigma because it's not really transparent, but it does. I don't know what it is. Maybe it's so powerful. It's really has white in it. This is the color. Well, how about if I take a gray? Show you this gray. This is on my palette. You drop in the Arctic ice pure, and I'm cleaning my brush. If you drop it in, it changes it. But if you put a lot in, it really does lift it and put in more a purer color. Because it's so intense. I guess that's why.
All right, thank you.
Okay. In fact, I think I'll just put that right there. I don't know why. Since I picked it up with my brush, I like it there. Oh, well, anyway. I'll wait on that. That may have a nice effect on me as far as the color. I like that better, that I dropped that into that much better. Don't want to go crazy. But I like that right there. So if I put it in here, now the white of the eye, we can put a little flesh tone in there. I usually go right through there. And then I drop in a little of the Arctic ice. And then I dry my brush and I lift it out. And it just leaves it neutral.
Janet, this is Susan. Is that a mistake or I don't know, a mistake, but that people often don't make the, the white area of the eye, they don't tint it and leave it white. Is that something that students often do?
Yeah, I used to do it.
Oh, okay.
I used to do it. And then I thought, something's wrong with this picture, literally. And I thought, really to soften that, you don't have to do it all over. I mean, you could leave it if that part, any part of the white of the eye and the light may get a little bit, but you don't want to leave it just
blinding white.
Yeah.
Okay, good. Thank you.
You're welcome. And then I'm going to try that alizarin crimson on the nostrils. Now that's another mistake that people make on the portrait, is that they think they have to make those darks gray or something like that. Also, let's see, I don't want to put a lot. I want to get out of there. I don't want to get in there when it's still wet, although I keep going in. Just put a little bit in there, not much. So the brush is pretty dry. You can see how much water comes off by touching it with the paper towel. Let's see how wet it is. There we go. That's pretty dry. And maybe, and then the other thing is that Sargent said a portrait is a painting of someone with a little something wrong with the mouth. Okay, so that's another little saying that you can remember. Okay. And then we can put in a little hair color. And then I'm going to try to do a little bit of the flower stuff. I mean, I have a little bit more to do here. Usually in the lips, I'm trying to keep it warm. So I'm taking a little bit of the Permanent Rose and the Aurolin. So a little bit more orange in there. Okay. Now I may drop in a little Janet's Violet Rose, but I may not. I don't want to do too much in the mouth, but plus, what's I going to say? Nope. I don't want to have an outline for the lips too. I don't want it to be too much. I want the mouth is, I don't want to get into this wash, so I'm trying to stay away from that. I'm keeping my options open. Okay, a little bit of that dark. I don't want to go too dark on the eye, but I know that's going to be important. Now, sometimes there's a little mark around it. Let's see, eyelashes. Oh, don't want to enclose the eye too. You don't want to go down and put eyelashes all around or darken that bottom. Okay. Okay, now I'm going to go do a little bit in the hair. And so what I'm trying to do is find maybe a roux or a color for that. So I have that mixture that I made which was the Quin Gold. Now I'm going to take a little bit of that dark orange in there, maybe a little more of the Quin Gold. Ooh, that's bright. Now I don't want to homogenize it too much because I like to have a little bit of other colors coming in. So I might go more to the purple. See how I'm looking there for dark. So I might go to the dark hair. I think that might be dark enough now up there. Put that in, not much, and pull. So we're gonna, she has a lot of highlights that are red. Okay. And I want to make it interesting, not predictable. Quin Gold, maybe I'll get a little bit of Quin Gold. Oops, too bright. Quin Gold, can be deadly, as you probably all know. Too intense. Maybe let's get a few strands. I'm using a little flat brush. This is a low Cornell, but you can use like, I mean, the King Art is same brush now.
Janet, can you zoom out a little?
Oh, sure.
Thank you. Perfect, thanks.
Okay, I'm just trying to get a feeling of hair moving around, and I can get darker. I want to make the outside of the edge of that hair a little bit more unpredictable. And I should go into a shadow, I mean a background. Let's see if we can figure out a background. I don't know whether I should get in there yet. Yeah. A little bit of cobalt. I want more neutrals in there, so. How about more yellow? Okay, it's a little yellow, but I want some dirt in there. A little dirtier, grayer or something. So I'm just kind of pulling around. So I wanted to pop that side of the face. And I might want to let part of it go into the hair or into the face. So that's not too bad. And I don't know whether, what would happen if I put purple in there? I don't know whether I want that or not. I might go back to the green. But now this is something I would do on another piece of paper instead of trying to do it here. But this often happens. I'm going to wet here so I can get out easily. I don't like any of that. So let me see if I. Okay. Well, that's a dirtier gray. That might help. You put a little blue in there, maybe a cobalt. A little dirty. How about if I put a little bit of the Arctic ice in there? What would happen? Turn it again. Keeping away from that. I like that color better. Smushing. Sometimes I'll put a boundary around it so that I can see the shapes a little easier. Okay, what time is it? I think I better start the flowers a little bit so that in case we have any flower people.
Can I ask a question about how you use pencil for the
Sure.
painting? It's so beautiful. But what I'm seeing is that you really use the graphite as part of your painting for the shadows for her eyes and nose and.
It helps me see it. I want to, you know, I'll probably the second application, I'll go over that and I'll know that that has to be darker. Is that where you're talking about around the eyes?
Yeah, eyes, nose, mouth.
Some of those darker spots will have paint on them. And
but when you're doing your sketch, you don't just do an outline, you actually make a drawing, I think is what I'm asking.
yeah, I feel better with that. I don't know. I don't, there are times when I would just briefly sketch it, and I should probably do the other, but maybe it's because I've done it with the portraits, maybe because I relied on it being accurate. I don't know.
It's beautiful. Thank you.
I like drawing. Let me put it that way. I should say, I can remember when I was a kid going to museums, I would always go to the drawings first. They would make me feel like I could see and touch the artist. That it just seems like that was more real, but I mean, that's just me.
Janet, this is Susan. I think also Laura was commenting on, like, you put a lot of shading even into the drawing.
Yeah,
Yeah, so I think what she's meaning also is like a line drawing, you don't see that, but in your drawing, it's there to help you know where the dark areas or where you want to make accents. Is that correct?
yeah. Well, part of it is I'm looking for something in the painting, and I need that strength, like where I want to really push and pull. It's in there, and I guess I probably the more time I have, the more I do that. I don't know whether I'm answering that correctly, but
Perfect.
it helps me with the how can I put it, what I want to say about it. Now this is crept in there, but I like that blue there. I don't know why. Just that blue there. It's not in the painting, but I like it crossing over into the face. I don't know why. So that means I'll have to strengthen that eye a little bit. Maybe I'll have to move some of the hair down there, you know, or something else. But I really like that blue. And let me go in and show you. And also it's creeping in here. I'm not sure about that. But I'm paying attention to how the paints interact with each other. I think I want to lift right here. Maybe I'll put a little bit of that blue over here. I like it already. It may not be perfect, but I like it. Okay, so whatever that was, that helps me. In other words, what I might do is I would usually wait for this to dry. Oops, sorry, that's not going to work. I wouldn't go in like that because that's still drying. I would have to get wait until that got dark. You know, I would make that darker. And then over here, so that takes care of some of the, well, no, it's not. Move out a little bit. So you can see that that's part of the shading part that I had there, and that'll change. And I'm going to darken this part on the nose too. Second application is going to get probably take care of some of those shadows. Does that make sense? Whoever asked the question.
It does. It does, but it's beautiful, even with the graphite. It's a really
Okay, thanks. I like I said, I like the drawings. And I'm going in there without, I shouldn't probably go in there yet, but that's okay. It's all right. I keep saying I'm going to go to the flowers and I keep fiddling around. Now, what eyebrows? They should be hairs growing out of the head, not lines. So you have to be careful of that. I'm taking a little bit of the brown, maybe just a little bit. Now that crept in there to the cheek. I'm not sure I want the blue in the cheek. I notice I'm having a little more trouble with the holding a steady brush. I'll tell you that. I think the older I get. Okay. Go in now. See, that's not dry yet, but maybe I can get in there. Maybe I'll go over here. So then we've got another value. Let me move out. a value problem over here, because that's going to be darker. Before I put that second application. The second application, all this is going to probably pretty much stay the same, but I'm going to come down around the features and put in the darks. Now I don't want that harsh line there, so I'm going to smush that because I want things to connect. Oops. Well, that was a little. Okay, what time is it? I better get into the flowers a little bit. And then I keep saying that, and then I keep going. I don't want to be a slave to the picture. Maybe a little green. Okay. Well, just see what happens when I put that in. Sometimes I like to just play, and the only thing about teaching is that I try to be good for the sake of teaching. I don't want to teach you something wrong, but I have this problem where I want to let loose and do fun things. So I have to go walk that tightrope. I'm going to put a little dark under here and maybe a little bit here. And I don't want to leave that. It's probably still too damp. Okay. And then with the dark in the eyes, see, I'll push that dark in. So the values, I want to still keep those values. So my guess is you probably won't see that those marks that much. No. And usually I would let that dry, but we'll see. I don't want to. Now, to get into these cheeks, I think I better wait. And usually I'll bring that color through the other side. Sometimes I think I need to get things darker, so I possibly will, but I don't want to overdo it. Oh, now that was a mistake. Okay, my brush just went crazy. Okay. Okay, so I usually would bring that through a little bit. Anyway, maybe I better let this dry and come back, do one more thing over here with that mouth over here. Just pull that through. A little bit more on the eyes. Okay. So that eye there is going to be important. And usually there's a shadow. Let me zoom in. There's a shadow on the eye itself because of the, I mean, the eyelid is casting a bit of a shadow. A little too far out there. Just going to put a little dark there, and then this is, yeah. Okay, good enough. I'll come back. Okay, instead of messing around like that, it's too detailed. Okay, let me get a time to go. Do you need a break or anything, or just keep going? Okay.
Yeah, you can just keep going.
Okay.
Well, Janet's getting ready to do her flowers. I just want to remind everyone that there's still spots available for this workshop. And just seeing in this demo how much fun Janet is, I think it would be great if you could join us. And the workshop itself is March 22nd through the 24th, Monday, Tuesday, and Wednesday. So go sign up. Thanks.
Yeah. It'll all be good. Okay, here's the, okay.
Because it will be like 3 classes in one, because we're going to do portraits, we're going to do
Flowers,
and we're going to do figures. So,
yes. Oh, the other thing is this would look better if it was held up like this. So that's flat with the camera. But when I'm painting at an angle, it's like that. So it is a little bit different like this. So what I want to capture from anything is life and the 3 dimensions of something. So it's not, you know, I of anything else, I want to capture the life. That, if that helps. Okay, let me put that aside and get my flower painting.
also, does anybody have any questions while we're waiting for Janet?
And you can bring your own, they can bring their own photos if they want. I will provide some photos, but if you want to paint something different, like as far as the portrait, if you wanted to paint somebody similar, so you'd want a strong shadow shape, that would be helpful. Although I'll cover trying to paint without a shadow shape too. So you can wet, I would like to show you how to get it on leaving whites, but also to cover the face and then go back and put the darks in. So I want to do it both ways. Okay, now fun with flowers. I've got to remember to have fun. That's the main thing. Move out. Okay. So I did just a little drawing. Well, you can, if I move in, you'll see it's just this scribble. What I want is a bouquet of flowers, and I'm thinking light flowers with some purples. There's a few photos that I brought along that might inspire me, although I get inspired by real things. Oh, I'll show you some, this was something I fooled around with an abstract landscape that I just had, you know, been having a little fun with that. It's just a swatch and I like the way they're coming out. So I'd like to explore that as something for me, but I'll be glad to share that. That dry. Okay, now there's some pictures that I might put in here. I won't do the daisies. I think the roses and the weed. I love weeds. So I don't really do something real tight, you know, that just maybe I think about what direction the heads of flowers are. And if this is a rose, I'll have it looking up that way. And maybe this rose will be looking out here. So I'm thinking of lighter flowers, but we'll see what happens. I'm looking for a darker rose that I had a little picture. Here it is. Okay, let me put them up here just so you get an idea. And I'll send pictures of flowers, but you can bring your own too if you have certain flowers that you like, because we'll spend some time interpreting the flowers, little exercises to get you into the structure and then into usually if I have an in-person workshop, I'll buy flowers for everybody, and we work from real life 3 dimensions. That's what I want you to be aware of, is 3 dimensions. So, okay. I'm gonna clean my palette up a little bit, because when I start a new painting, I like to see clean mixing areas. Move out a little bit. I'm just going to wipe that up. Now, when I paint in plein air, like we go to France and Italy and do workshops over there, I can't go on location like that. So I just take one of these trays, which is like they're called Jasper Trays by Holbein. They're like a plastic, although you can go to a dollar store and get white trays just as easily, and that's fine. Sometimes you can get them for $1. And I put it in my backpack, take my little tubes of paint with me in my little plastic baggie, and then I just put out my limited palettes and I'm good to go. I know how to mix colors. I think mixing colors is so much fun, rather than just getting a tube of something. And the thing about the limited palette is you'll always have something that goes together. Okay, I'm going to go into the middle of a flower, and I think I'm thinking about these as lighter, but they may go, I never know. I like to find a painting. I don't want to kind of know ahead of time. Well, it's not that I don't want to know what it's going to come out like. I have an idea. I know I'm going to make swatches and pull the shapes of the flowers out, and then, but I like to connect things. I remember the first video I saw, an art video. In fact, I did not think I'd ever become a watercolor painter. And I used to be in oils and acrylic. Pastels were my big thing. They were the easiest thing. And I thought, I'll never be. I tried watercolor and it just didn't work out. And I said, it's just too hard. I'm not a watercolor painter. Of course, I was working with a lot of little dried up little pieces. That was funny. Anyway, and then somebody told me, oh, well, you got dried up paints that, you know, and I said I couldn't make colors. Then I saw Charles Reed's book and his video, and I just lost it. I fell in love with it. And I said, that's what I want. That's what I want, to paint like that, because he painted life, and that made me happy. So he captured life itself to me on there. Anyway, oh, well, I just mixed mud on there. I didn't want to get that. Sky blue has a little bit more opaqueness into it, but not as much as cerulean blue hue. Cerulean, the original cerulean blue has a lot of opaqueness. So that's as close as I come. Trying to mix a color, I don't know. That it's kind of a little violet. Let me see what that is. Nah, I think I better get warmer in the center. Okay. I'm going to make a little rose up here. And I want this little rose, and we can fantasize about it. Maybe I'll put a little orange in there. I'm going to adjust it. Maybe I'll use Janet's Violet Rose. That's softer. Oh, maybe I better zoom in so you can see what I'm doing. I'm just making the shape of a flower at this point. I'm playing around because I really don't know what I want yet. Okay. Now I will drop in a little bit of that blue, that sky blue. Oops, too much. I'm going to rinse and then lift it so that it leaves just a little bit. And now I'm going to lift with the edge of that brush. I'm using a little flat brush. It's the only time I use a flat is when I'm painting roses. Not the only time I use a flat. I didn't mean that, but for flowers, I don't know why I do. Let's take a little bit of permanent rose. Drop that in there. Okay. It's kind of laying that down and seeing what happens. A lot of water. Maybe we'll get a little bit of a flower up there. Maybe a little yellow. Put that in there. Throw it in there. Okay, just maybe a little bit more of the Aurelian. Pull that in there. Yeah. I may have changed my mind and go darker, but right now I'm going to leave it that way. Kind of a pink, and I'm seeing a little shadow on the side here. Let's see. Take that. I always hope when I'm painting flowers, I hope that there's a magic that happens. Okay. Now, if I have something that light, I'm going to have to put a dark around it. And I think I will get a dark right away up in here. And I'm looking at here, and I like the leaves here, although they aren't all rose leaves. So I'll just put some color down there. I'm going to put a different color around it, and I'm just going to kind of carve out some of the edges of a flower. Let's see what happens. Now, right now, it seems kind of cold, that painting, but no, there's a little bit of warmth coming in there. So it's oh, I like that. That's a lot warmer. Oops.
Janet, there's been a request to see the reference photo.
Oh, sure. I'm sorry. I went in to focus on what I was painting, but I don't stick with them, but you can kind of see it. Usually it's real flowers that I have, but I know what we have to, in this day and age, we have to go with photos.
Thank you.
So you may have photos that make you happy. And that's what we want. Okay, I like that so far. I didn't think I would. For a while I was struggling, and I thought, I don't know if I like this color, but let's just dry this edge and maybe we can pull another petal out here. Okay, so it's more safe, and I can put in a little bit more in that, little bit more structure. It's easier to pull out a petal when you have a darker color. That's the center of the flower, but I don't like that so far. I'm going to lift. Okay. Oh, that's fine. I'm fooling around too much. Okay, and I'm going to lose it. So put down purple, and I'm just kind of feeling my way through it. A little bit of sometimes I don't know where I'm going. Now I think I'll go over to this one, and I'm maybe going to make that a little bit more of the orange in the center, but I want some of that violet, or maybe a pinker. Okay. When I paint, I like to sometimes I half close my eyes. I don't want to look at a flower head, head on. I just want to see it from a little bit 3/4. So what I'm trying to do is get the center here. Take a little bit of this. Okay. Usually it's a little warmer, although I have that purple up there, which is unusual. Okay. Oops. I can't help myself. I just go into fool around. Okay. These are lighter flowers. Let's see if we can do this. I'm trying to pull, get a feeling of the flower without saying too much. I'm gonna throw in a little bit of the, so this is a light flower. Unless it goes south, and then I'll make it a dark color. Some students were saying they can't really use that flat brush. So I'm trying to use a little bit more of the round brush. I kind of like that right there. I think that looks pretty good. I'm going to lift this edge and make this into a petal. Okay. I think that looks good. I like it. I'm going to go back, take all the moisture off of the brush and lift. And that's helping. That's working back there. It was so wet that it wouldn't lift. And then I'm going to go down, lifting, using the side of that brush. Maybe go in a little bit. Okay.
And Janet, this is
Yep.
Susan. You're lifting to just define the petals, right?
Yeah, the edges.
Okay.
And I'm just making it up. It doesn't, it doesn't do any good to copy something. You can never do it. Okay, I might look at an edge and say, well, that, I could pull like that. It's not round though. I didn't want to make it round. Those petals need to come down and then twist at the end. And then the opposite, they kind of enfold each other. That was kind of orange, but I want it more pink. Let's see if we can do that. Now that's a bright pink versus that one. So that's okay. I like it though. Maybe I need to put a little warmth in that one. All right, I know this is very light. I'll zoom out again. I mean, I want to paint roses. It kind of, I know one time when I was learning to paint roses, it was a long time ago, I said to Steve, I said, I'm going to go in my studio for hours and hours, and I do not want to be disturbed. I put candles in my studio. I put soft music on. I never do any of that. I wanted a romantic atmosphere. And the night before,
Not the link. Oh, it's working.
I
Take a picture.
was kind of trying to paint some flowers, and draw. I wanted to draw them because I wanted to understand the structure of flowers. So I took the flower apart petal by petal and found something that I liked. And then I understood how they unfolded and what they did. Now over here, let me just zoom in. And I don't even remember doing that. But see this little bit of yellow in here? It relates to that green. I wasn't even aware I was doing it, but this is connecting. Oh, what I was talking about with Charles Reed was the first time I saw his video, I saw the way he connected shapes together as he was going. So it's very sculptural. Instead of going like some people might paint a rose here, a rose here, a rose here, and then go back and fill in things. It was just the way he painted that affected me. Okay. Maybe we'll paint a little bit of a petal here. I'm not sure what I want to do here. Just back to putting this down. So I'm darkening that a little bit, and I think I'll try to make some kind of a roux here. I'm calling it roux from the class last week. I've kind of gotten into this, making a mess over here, just trying to build a general green. Greens can be, I love green, but I hate green type of thing, you know. Putting a little bit in of this, putting a little bit in of that, making that color. Maybe I'll go with that mixture, put some blue in here. How about some gold? I want to make it neutral, more neutral, because greens can just carry you away. Oh, that's red. Well, that doesn't work. How about a little more gold? Maybe a little more ultramarine. Well, that's really pretty dirty. Let's see if I can get, now I want to get that Arctic ice. Let me see if I can get that. How about a little yellow? No, sometimes, okay, a little bit more of that. Oh, there we go. It's a teal color almost. It's like I don't know what I want till I see it. Okay, that's a little dark right there. Okay, now I need some more inspiration. How about a leaf? Okay. It's a little darker. And a little darker there. I think maybe a little yellow. I need a little bit of yellow there. Okay, I'm gonna pull that out. I don't like that shape, so I'm gonna lift it. But it softens it, so it's okay. Let's see if I get a little purple here. And so there's another roux over here. And that's a little bit different. I kind of like that. So I want the middle value to hold the shapes together. I don't know whether that's going to be another flower or what it's going to be, but I'm just going to mess around for a while. Maybe I'll keep it simple and put a little bit of the greenery in there. I don't want it to be the same leaf all the time. How about a little yellow? Okay. I guess I'm going without the blue flowers or the purple flowers, but okay. How about some stems? Or weeds. I like to leave some whites, but I think I better go up here to to push this flower forward. Okay. Okay, those flowers I had, let's see if I can find them. Oh, these flowers. I don't like that shape going, it's following that shape, so I'm going to change it. So I'm going to get the feeling of a little bit of I don't know, some kind of weed. Put the stem in there. I know a lot of times we'll forget to do the stems. Oop. Okay, so I wanted to get close to the edge of that flower just to pop it. Okay. And I think we need some other weeds right there. Okay. flat. Maybe I'll pull that out.
Come on.
Steve? Wait a minute. Excuse me a minute. Steve? Steve? Steve?
What? What was I saying?
Okay. Now that I just walked away, that's a blue. It's okay. Let's see what happens. It's a little too purple for there, I think. So I'm going to add a little bit of that blue in here. Okay. Maybe a little bit over here. Could be any flower, you know, it could be anything. Dry that. Okay. Oh. A little bit of yellow. Going in there a little bit, but I'm not sure if I should. A little bit more intensity in there to show a little bit more strength in that flower. I could always wet if I don't know where to go and throw paint, and then I figure it's got to tell me something. Okay. How about some weeds over here? Okay. Sorry, I got to back out a little bit from your. Maybe a little negative shape painting back there to pop some of that. I don't want to put it everywhere. I think I need to lighten up that area. I don't want to have it enclosed, so let me lift that out of there. Okay, I better get back to the portrait, I guess. Oop. Okay. Pull that down. I like that yellow green in there. I think it makes it look happy. Sometimes I like to have a little bit of darker area. I don't want it to be predictable, so. Maybe should have stopped a while ago. Okay. These paintings can get away from you, that's for sure. I don't know whether I like that enclosure there. That line, I seems to have made it enclosed, and I don't want to do that. I want to scrub that out a little bit. Okay. Maybe we'll put another flower over here, and I'll go back to the portrait. Or I could do a figure.
There was some interest in seeing you get closer to finishing the portrait. If
Okay,
that works for you.
that helps. That helps. I'll just do whatever. I'm just here to use me.
All these options. Okay, thank you.
That's good. Okay, here's another little flower I popped up. Okay. Oh, well. I will move back to that portrait. Sometimes I like to get some darks, but it wasn't working, so. Yeah, I'm just making works. Let's get a mat, put it around it, and see where I am. It, you know. I like them to look at things in a mat and crop it or something. So it looks like I need some darks in there. Let's pull this out. I don't like these little purple marks. Yeah, I like that little purple marks up there. So a little bit of, yeah. So you could go ahead and do more on something like that, or less, whatever you want. Okay, and you can add more darks. That's usually what I do, is add more darks, and then I'm unhappy. But you want to go to, I forgot to, I don't know whether I put that. I usually go out to the edge. Or I come in and make a shape or something like that into the painting, so that I have more of a connection. You can play and do different things to put a vase in or whatever, but you know, anyway, you can change it, or it's a little light, but that's okay. All right, and now I'll go back to the portrait. Any questions on that? I should ask. Just no. Okay. Let's see. All right, here's the portrait. Let's go back to her. She's probably dry now.
Janet, that looks lovely. That looks gorgeous.
Oh, thanks. And
Yeah,
that
it really does.
looks better up like this. I don't know. I just have to be careful. I don't want to enclose the mouth too much. Let me clean this puddle up because I don't want that mud in there. And I got too muddy in that one puddle. It's not the right color, but that's okay. I love color though. I could play all day. Nothing better than swimming with colors, right?
Absolutely.
All right, what do I need to do? Let's see. I want to pull over that color over here in this background because I think that color's nice. That works with her. So can't remember what the color was or how I got it. I think it was just mud. Oh, tonight is daylight savings time. Is that? I think it is.
Yes, it is.
Oh. So we lose an hour?
Yes, unfortunately, we do.
Okay, a little bit more of the yellow. Oh, that's too yellow. I picked up too much yellow in there. Ah. Now yellow, the Aurelian is a transparent color, but okay, maybe, and sometimes you can wet the area just a little bit up there. Let's put a little bit up there and over on this area. I don't want it too bright. Too much. How about a little bit of that blue, the sky blue, or remember I found that color into her, and here I guess somebody asked a question and the rest is history. It's wonderful. See how it all interacts. Okay. I'm just using the side of a brush. Just this is a one stroke or a stroke brush. Now I'm using the King Art brushes instead of the low Cornells. I used to use the low Cornells a lot, but okay. I don't always cover the whole painting. I like options, moving in and out of a painting. Okay, now she has some feathers in her hair, but I just don't know whether I want that in there. Tiny settings. If she has some purples, a little more the red. Mm. Okay, and then maybe more of the purple down in here. Yeah, maybe I put that purple blue up there, that color, instead of the blue. Yeah, I like that. That's the sky blue is a little softer than the lavender. Lifting up that edge brown. Ooh, I'm getting it into that mixture. I don't think I want to do that. I'll get rid of this color. It's green. Making her more her hair color. Okay. A little bit of purple with that, and maybe that green. Maybe a little more purple. Here you want it to be a mass of color rather than individual hairs. No, I'm that's kind of light. I don't know. I feel like I need more pigment. And I can pull through it to get texture. A little red. I don't want to say too much. That's where it gets tricky. Okay, now I'm going to take a little lift. Okay, that red. I just thought about that, and that helped. I think that helped. It's a little bit warmer, and it makes it a little more interesting than just brown. Put that over there. Smush it a little bit. Put that. I want to soften that edge, so I'm lifting the edge because you don't want it to be too harsh. Okay, now maybe a little dark in the back over here. A little bit of red. So you want to have a little bit of a pop some places. Okay, and then behind in her ear, it's got a little bit of red back there. Just knock that down. And she had a little earring on, so I left that white. I don't want to do too much because then I'll lose it. I know me. I overwork a lot. And I think my mother had said when I was younger, you'd be a good painter if somebody would take your brush away from you. I think you've heard me say that.
Leave it to moms, right?
Yep. All right, now down in that, along the nose, I want to get a little bit more warmth as it's coming down here. But I don't want to, I don't know. Maybe it was all right before. Okay. I don't know whether that's too bright. You know, it's hard to tell because it always dries differently. Whoop, that's too much. I don't want that. I don't want that in there. Too late. It's in there. Let me see if I can lift it. That's okay. Okay. I don't think I have to say a whole lot more. Oh, maybe I should get closer. I don't know. Okay. It needs dark down here and the cheeks. That high, she has a high cheekbone. Gonna soften that edge. That should be softer right here. And she's got that little pink. Okay, maybe a little. I should have mixed a roux in here. Let's see if I can do it. A little bit of purple, a little bit of orange. See if that's too dark. A little dark. Okay. I'll look at the painting more. Okay. I really like that blue there. I don't know why. Maybe if I push that in there. It's a little dark. Pull that in there a little bit. I like that. It's a little dark, but the heck. Ah, maybe I'll put the blue down in the neck. Maybe. I don't want to get dirty. don't want to put blue in, do I want blue anywhere else? I think that's okay. It's okay there. Her mouth, let's see what's going on here. I'm okay. Okay, so I'm darkening that a little bit. Okay. So I'm not trying not to be too literal. That's a little strong. It's okay. I like that stroke. A little bit more. Here. Okay. That's a little, I'm a little concerned that that is strong. I'm backing off. I don't want to say too much, but okay. Well, I want to darken that too much with the eyebrows. I keep thinking I need to darken that over there. I don't know. Let's see. Okay. Getting close to being all done. Oh, not. Gee, I was almost done too, and I had to go to the. That happens to me a lot. That happens to me a lot. So I have to get it out of there. Hold on. I don't know what happened over here. This is something spilled. It was probably on my paper towel. I'm trying to get it off. We'll have to probably let it go. It's little splatters. Oh, it's not bad. I like it. See, a mistake sometimes can take you in another direction. Get a little bit. I was going to make that lavender, and it's a little different now. Okay. I like that. It's something about this chin just popped out to me, and I don't know why. I just happened to look at it, and maybe I need to knock that down a little bit. So it's probably this edge here. Okay. I think I need to cut that a little bit more, but I don't need to, you know, if I do. Okay, I'll just kind of blend it in to the background. Kind of watch those edges Actually, that's not bad to do that because you're focusing right there. And let's move that in. Maybe she has to have a little bit more of a dark right there. Okay. And that was a shadow shape of her flesh there too. So we'll see if that can just let that be. Okay. I think I'm done. Let me go maybe up here. Okay,
Well, that is beautiful.
thanks. I'm just, let me back out a little bit, put a mat on it. I like this. I don't know why I never painted her much before until this year. And I had this picture around for years, and she has such a neat look to her. Such a fun, expressive look. Put a mat around it. And put it up. That always helps, but of course I can crop down, but holding it up flat, you get a better view of it. Don't know if I have to do anything more. I think it just better be a painting rather than be anything else. So let me put something to lift it up, and then we'll talk. Up there. How's that?
Beautiful.
Okay, thank you. And do we have any questions at all?
There were a number of comments, how beautiful it is, stunning. And we've all appreciated you doing this demo for us.
Oh, sure.
We got a terrific.
You're welcome. I hope I get to see everybody and meet everybody at the workshop. And I had fun. I like the painting. You know, and I don't know what else to say. And so when you get to that point, you should stop. If you don't know what else to do,